Just wanted to take a minute here and point out some of the detail on this job here. This is some fascia that I'm covering on a low slope porch roof, and just some of the details how it got done. There's a piece of return that I put on first. Then of course I had to put this piece of fascia on. On this piece of fascia, I'd look and see if I can try to demonstrate how I get this measurement on it. It's kind of notchy here. I got a tape measure in one hand and a phone in the other, but bear with me for 1 minute. Let me zoom out here a little bit. On this fascia here, this is basically how I do this. I stick my tape. I know I got to come up, you know, it's 2.5 inches approximately to here. But the way I do this is the pivot point, where I'm going to find that point right there where it starts to flare out, is I'm going to take the tape and I'm going to pivot the tape on the top edge. And where I can, let me get this tape a little more. When I can pivot this tape, I'll just go high for an example. See how I pivot and it starts to bind on the bottom piece of the cove molding. So I know I'm too high. If I go about there, the top of the tape is going to pivot. When that top of that tape gives me a nice clean shot right to the top behind the roof edging, I know I'm somewhere close. Now the top edge of the tape right here will get marked with a pencil. Top edge of that tape is a pencil mark. I'm going to go from the pencil mark to the bottom of this, maybe add an 1/8 or a little more for a drip action, and that'll begin to give me my where that angle part's going to come in. Once that tape starts to clear, the whole works. Once it starts to clear everything, and it's not going to bind here or anywhere, once it starts to come in there, I know that is pretty close. Now what I'll do too is I'll take a 6-inch piece and I'll make a miniature piece of fascia, and I'll see if it's laying right. You know, if it's going to lay right as far as the all the bends I want to make and in the locations I want to make them. And if it's laying right with a 6-inch piece, then more than likely it's going to be laying right, you know, with a 10-footer, you know, unless it's obviously different. In other words, if this is a different measurement from this down here, if that changes, then, you know, I'd have to take a lower reading on the bottom edge of the tape, you know. So but again, you can see how that works there. As soon as that thing starts to clear, as soon as it starts to clear, about a 1/2 inch down from the bottom of that bed trim, or whatever you want to call it, you know you're close. Alright, about a 3.5 minute video, not a 3.5 inch video, a 3.5 minute video on how I find my measurements for my angle pieces on a piece of fascia.